Hi, and welcome to Andrea Gamera Coaching and NoPainAllGain.ca. Today I'd like to talk about progression, not perfection. As a recovering perfectionist, I need to keep reminding myself that I am on the road of progression, not perfection. So what does that mean? It means that I am trying to be better than I was yesterday, not perfect in everything that I do. So what does that mean? That means that my goal is not perfection. My goal is progression in everything I do to be the best that I can be. Now, this new perspective takes all the pressure off because it allows me to work towards being 1% better than I was the day before, instead of having to be perfect in everything that I do. I realize that this may be a new concept for most people, especially for those perfectionists out there. But this really does work. When you can focus on just being a better you instead of being perfect, it really does change everything. So why progression instead of perfection? Well, the answer to that is very simple. There's only been one human being in all of recorded history that has been perfect, and that was Jesus. And Jesus was also God. Now, since none of us humans have any percentage of God in us, that means we cannot be perfect. If we could be perfect, we would have had no need for Jesus to die for our sins on the cross. Plain and simple. But we don't have that option. It's physically, intellectually, emotionally, it is in all ways impossible for humans to be perfect. The best we can do is trying to be better than we were yesterday. And we get to decide what percentage of that we want to be. Do we want to be only 1% better than we were yesterday? Or do we want to be 50% better than we were yesterday? Following the ideal that Jesus showed of how man should live, forgiving our neighbors, being honest, not stealing, being compassionate for those less fortunate. If we can instill even a little bit of that into our daily lives, what an incredible world this will become. And that should be our goal, is to be just a little bit better at whatever we're working towards as our goal every day. Not being perfect. Because when we try to be perfect, we are going to fail. It's just not possible. And then when you fail, the next thing that happens is you start to beat yourself up. You start calling yourself names. And all of a sudden, your self-esteem and opinion of yourself plummets. I have first-hand experience in this, so I can tell you this is 100% true. But when you go with progression, to just be better, when you do fail, you realize that it's inevitable. It's inevitable that you're going to fall from time to time. It's human. You can then forgive yourself, learn from whatever mistake happened, and choose to grow from it and do better tomorrow. And it's that hope in being able to do better tomorrow that makes all the difference in your life. So let's all breathe a sigh of relief that we can now push away that idea that perfection is possible, because it's not. Once you can accept that fact, we can then move on to embracing the idea of progression. So what is progression? Well, progression is the idea that you are moving forward every day towards your goal of being the best that you can be. We do this by setting goals for ourselves of who we want to be and what we want to achieve in this world. For example, if you wanted to be a world-renowned concert pianist, you would need to learn how to play the piano. So you would start with middle C, and then you would learn all your notes. You'd start learning about sharps, flats, your accidentals, your time signature, pauses, rests, tempo, how to use the pedals. You would have to learn all of these things one step at a time. You don't just sit down at a piano and start playing Mozart's sonatas. That's not possible. Not even for Mozart. So, when you look at it this way, whatever you want to achieve in life, you can't expect to do it perfectly right away. When you look at the Michael Jordans, the Tom Brady's of the world, these guys didn't just start shooting hoops or throwing a football perfectly every single time. They did it over and over and over again, hundreds, millions of times. They did it over and over until they got it right, until they became proficient in what they did. Are they perfect? No. Both of those men will be the first to tell you that they're not perfect. They've missed shots. They've missed throws. It happens. But they certainly have kept going and progressing in their sports and in their abilities to be the best they could be. And in doing that, they created their superstar status. And you know what? We can do that in our lives as well. We can be superstars in our own realm, wherever that may be. If you're a teacher, librarian, stockbroker, whatever you do. Don't try to be a Michael Jordan. Don't try to be a Tom Brady. Be you. Be the best you can be. And that's not by being perfect. That's by progressing even that 1% every single day, because even 1% forward is going forward, and it is getting you towards your goal. So this concept was really freeing for me because it released me from having to be perfect. I hated the idea of disappointing family or friends because I wasn't perfect, that I didn't do something perfect, that I made a mistake. But knowing that I'm progressing forward, that takes all the pressure off because I'm not trying to be perfect anymore. I'm just trying to be better than I was yesterday and be the best person I can be. And you can use this technique too. So some of you may be thinking I'm just mincing words about talking about being perfect or being the best you can be. According to the following definitions, they are very, very different concepts. So let's take a look. So according to this article by Lily Lowe titled, "This is what it actually means to be the best," being the best is you giving your all into what you love to do every single day. Being the best is allowing yourself to try, to fall, and to rise again. Being the best is striving towards your goals to the best of your abilities, but knowing when it's time to stop. On the other hand, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines being perfect as being entirely without fault or defect, flawless. So I hope you can see that there is a huge difference between being your best and being perfect. There's totally different things. So why do we cling to perfection? Well, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, it's taken a lot of work to call myself a recovering perfectionist. The concept of progression, not perfection, is a concept that I learned from my mentor, Trish Blackwell, in the College of Confidence. I still slip back from time to time, but my recovery time gets faster every single time I stop myself and say, no, we're going for progression, not perfection. Perfection isn't possible, and it's certainly not helpful here. So let's face it, we live in a society that rewards those that are the prettiest, the wealthiest, the fastest, the most creative. Perfection is something that our culture and society in the Western world really, really promotes. So that's one of the reasons a lot of us grow up to be perfectionists, because we want to be the best. And for me, wanting to be the best, but knowing that I wasn't, was really, really damaging. I would beat myself up every time I made a mistake. And that is certainly not helpful for anyone. I think most of us have a default setting that doesn't want to disappoint others or have them upset with us. We all want to be loved. And I think deep down, some of us are afraid that if we're not perfect, they can't love us. And that can be a very debilitating feeling. So having high standards is a good thing. But we also need to realize that sometimes those high standards may be unattainable. So if you have standards that are, closer to the moon than they are to the earth, maybe it's time to adjust those a little bit. Or at least look at it from the perspective of progression instead of beating yourself up if you're not at that level. So this is where we can break the cycle of not caring what other people think. I was in my late 40s before I even was introduced to this concept of not caring what people thought. I cared what everybody thought. I had to be popular with everybody. I didn't want anybody to be angry at me. The thought of that would just crush me. I wanted people to like me, no matter what. And I would shift and bend myself to fit what I thought other people expected of me. And I don't think I need to, go into great detail, but that doesn't work. I don't think it works for anybody. We need to be ourselves. And we can't, if we're so busy worrying about what other people think, we're going to lose what we think. So what's most important to me now is what God thinks about me and what I think about me. One of my singing teachers, George, wonderful man, great teacher, in one of his lessons that we had, because I was getting into the acting and musical theater world at the time, he said, you know what? You need to be able to know what you are and aren't willing to do in this industry. Because people will take advantage of you and they will push you to the brink of what you're comfortable with. So decide what it is you want, what you want to do, what you want to achieve, where your hard red lines are. Because in the morning, you are the only one that has to be able to look in the mirror and be happy with what you see. So thank you, George. I don't know if you'll ever see this, but thank you for that. It is something that I used in every role that I was offered, anything that I was going to audition for. I knew where my lines were, and if I wasn't willing to cross them, then I knew I couldn't accept the role. And so yeah, it did limit my acting career greatly, but you know what? I can look in the mirror today, and I do not regret a single choice I made, because I know God approves and I approve. And at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. So realizing that perfection was not possible for anyone took the pressure off me having to be perfect. So now when those thoughts come up, I can say, you know what? That's not reasonable. That's not attainable. And then I can congratulate myself for what I have accomplished and that I'm moving towards the goals that I've wanted to achieve. And here is a quick tip for you. As long as you don't quit, you will reach your goals. The only way you fail is when you quit. So in conclusion, perfectionism is not attainable. So I challenge you to try something different. Progression. As long as you can be 1% better than you were yesterday, you will achieve your goals. Letting go of your perfectionist tendencies will lower your stress level and give you a much happier life. You will be able to congratulate yourself for your progress and pat yourself on the back for all you have achieved. So come join the club of recovering perfectionists. You'll be glad you did. Did you know that one-on-one coaching can be a great way to reach your goals? That's what I do. I help people reach their goals by looking at their life and the things that are holding them back from a different perspective, to show them how they can change just a few things to be able to accomplish the things they thought they never could. So if this sounds like something that would be helpful for you, please reach out to me at andrea@nopainallgain.ca, and we can set up a free consultation to see if working together would be a good fit. So I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found this helpful. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.